Alright guys, I've got the hoist set up, ready to lift. I pulled the drain plug on the transmission to drain out whatever was in there, and I wish I had got that on video because as soon as I pulled the drain plug, about probably 2 quarts of water came out first. Clear water was inside the tranny. I don't know how long this thing sat. It must have sat for a long time open at some point. And water's just been collecting in there through the shifter and through the vent. And so a good solid 2 quarts of water came out first, and then I got some nasty gear oil that was really emulsified, and then I got some thick gear oil. And now what's draining is all the goo that was left in the bottom. So I'm gonna let that drain a little while longer. I just thought that was funny that I got so much water out of this thing. I've seen that before in transmissions, but I should have got that on video. That was great. So we're ready to go. All the motor mounts are loose. I've got to knock one bolt up out of this one motor mount. It's kind of wedged in there, but the bolt's free now since I lifted it. And get my floor jack under the back of the transmission so I can lift the tranny high enough to clear the cross member, the transmission cross member, just as I pull the motor forward. The front of the motor's got plenty of clearance. Just got to get the back of that transmission. It's a real big, bulky tranny, and it hangs down below the cross member, so I got to get that lifted up over that hump. Once that's clear, it should come right out. And got to get my cart in here. I've got a big dolly that I'm going to drop this straight 6 onto so I can get it out of the garage here and get myself some room. Alright guys, so here's where we are. We got the straight 6 out of there. Let me get you a little closer. Sorry for all the movement. I'm using a magnetic base and it's a real pain to move around. Alright, so here's what I had to do to get her out. I had to take the whole shift fork housing off, which gives me an idea what kind of condition the internals are in. Not that we're going to use it or not, but we're definitely going to sell this to help fund the project moving along. So it's good to know that I don't see any broken gears. I don't see any everything looks pretty good. The synchros look good. I don't see any internal damage in here. Everything looks really good. For being 70 years old, it's in great condition. Can't be that many miles on this transmission. So now I'm going to put the shift cover back in place with the shift forks, get them lined back up here in the selectors on the gears, and get everything bolted back up, put this on my cart, and get it out of here so I have some room. These are the shift forks that when you operate the shifter, slides on these shafts, and that's what selects the gear combination for whatever gear you're in, first, second, third, fourth, reverse. So hopefully this drops right back into place because I haven't moved it. Just like that. Okay guys, I'm ordering a bunch of parts for the Project 48 here, the P48 that we're calling it. And I don't know a lot about these early Chevys, so I'm having to do some research and some homework on them. Apparently there's a lot of differences between the 47 through 50 47 and 48 models of the 3100 and the 49 through 51 models of the 3100. So it's important to, you know, be able to identify exactly what you're working on so that you get the right stuff the first time. You don't have to reorder a bunch of parts and waste money and time and effort. So, you know, the number one way to identify it, of course, is by the VIN number. Well, these early Chevys didn't have VIN numbers like, you know, modern vehicles do. You can pretty much find the VIN of your modern car just about anywhere. You know, base of the windshield, door jambs, on the frame, on the other componentry of the frame. VIN numbers are pretty well identified on and marked on modern vehicles. Back in '48, when this was produced, they didn't take VINs as seriously as we do these days. So it's difficult to find a VIN number. On these particular trucks, they have a VIN tag that's on the door jamb of the driver's side, lower portion of the door jamb. VIN tag's held on by a couple rivets, and over the years of all the people working on it and repainting and doing body work and etc., sometimes those VIN tags are lost, removed, or in this case, painted over so many times that you can't read anything on the VIN tag. I'm going to show you that here in a second. But the motors did have a cast-in VIN, or at least a model designator or identifier on the engine block itself. So I'm going to show you where you can find that on these old straight sixes, Chevy straight six, and where you can find it on the body of the truck. The frame doesn't have a VIN. There's some suggestions on the web about where you might find one on the passenger side top of the frame, frame rail, but I didn't find one there. The only place I found a VIN tag at all, or a VIN identification on the body, was in that door jamb, and I'll show you that here now. Okay, so here's the VIN tag on the 48. It's kind of hard to see because everything's gray here. But this is the VIN tag, and it's been painted and sanded and you know, work hardened over the years that there's no identifiable information on the tag at all. I'm going to remove this tag and flip it over and maybe try and do a pencil outline of what's on the tag. There are some numbers visible here. Very hard to see, very faint, but the rest of the tag is pretty much completely smooth, which, you know, made it difficult to identify if this was indeed a 48 and exactly what year it was produced and when and where. From what I can tell, it is a 48. There's been some modifications done to it, such as this gas filler. Let me show you that, which normally the 48 had an underbed frame mounted tank for fuel. This truck has a later model tank in it. This truck has a reproduction gas tank from a 49 to 51 model 3100, and you can see that's what this hole that's been hacked here in the inside of the body is for. That's for the filler neck. This hole is pretty crudely cut in here, and that tank style, the in-cab tank, is for the later model, the 49 to 51 model 3100. So we're going to keep it because the tank is brand new. It does have some rust inside, so I'm going to show you how we can remove that rust and make the tank serviceable as long as it doesn't have any pinholes in the bottom of it. I'm going to go over the tank really well here in one of the upcoming videos and clean out the inside of the tank. I'm not going to seal it. I don't think sealer is a great idea for a lot of reasons, especially in an EFI vehicle. So since we're running fuel injection with the throttle body injected TBI 350, we're not going to coat the tank. But I think we can clean it out and make it usable. So let me show you the VIN number, the engine ID number out here on the straight six. Where's your ball, dog? Get your ball.